Hello friends, today we are going to learn about the topic AWS Elastic Network Interface, in which we are going to learn about the network interface that is being provided in Amazon Web Services to its customers. Elastic Network Interface, what it is, how it works. As we all know, AWS Elastic Network Interface is simply a virtual interface that can be attached to an instance in a virtual private cloud. Following are the attributes of a network interface. That means what comprises of things or what things comprises and forms a network interface. First is a primary private IPv4 address, one elastic IP address, that is IPv4 per private IPv4 address, one or more secondary private IPv4 addresses, one public IPv4 address, one or more security groups, one or more IPv6 addresses, a source or destination check flag, a MAC address or description. By default, each instance will have a primary network interface. This can be seen while the instance is being created. This IP will get a private IP address here. It will also get a public IP address if the setting has been enabled for the subnet in which the instance is located in. Here we can also add secondary IP address to an elastic network interface. Here you can also add secondary network interface to an instance. So here this network interfaces, it shows that which device is created, then network interface, either it is new or existing we are creating, then the subnet, then primary IP, then secondary IP address. Here you have to add, and then this. In our implement example, which we have seen before in the above slide, we will see how to swap network interfaces between two instances. This can be done for implementing fault tolerance for an application. Let us say we have two instances. One is primary instance which hosts a web application. This has been assigned a secondary network interface. This interface has an elastic IP assigned, which is accessed by external users. Let us say that you have a standby instance which has the same web server installed, but it is in the non-active state. Only if the primary instance fails for any reason, then a failover happens to the secondary instance. Here, so now to ensure that the failover happens from the primary to secondary instance seamlessly, so that the same elastic IP address can be used to or for standby instance. The elastic network interface can be shifted to secondary instance. It needs to be ensured that the subnets for the instances belong to the same availability zone. See, here it is the primary instance which has this elastic network interface, and this is the standby instance. Now, network interface basics. Here, you can create a network interface, attach it to an instance, detach it from an instance, and attach it to another instance. The attributes of a network internet or interface follow it as it is attached or detached from an instance and reattached to another instance. When you move a network interface from one instance to another, network traffic is redirected to the new instance. You can also modify the attributes of your network interface, including changing its security groups and managing its IP addresses. Every instance in a VPC, that is virtual private cloud, is a default network interface called the primary network interface. Here, you cannot detach a primary network interface from an instance. You can create and attach additional network interfaces. The maximum number of network interfaces that you can use varies by instance type. Now, public IPv4 addresses for network interfaces. In a VPC, all subnets have a modifiable attribute that determines whether network interfaces created in that subnet are therefore instances launched into that subnet are assigned a public IPv4 addresses. For more information, here IP addressing behavior for the subnet in the Amazon VPC, we can see how it works. The IPv4 address is assigned from Amazon's pool of public IPv4 addresses. When you launch an instance, the IP address is assigned to the primary network interface that is created. When you create a network interface, it inherits the public IPv4 addressing attribute from the subnet. If you later modify the public IPv4 addressing attribute of the subnet, the network interface keeps the setting that was in effect when it was created. If you launch an instance and specify an existing network interface for ETH0, which is your primary instance created, the public IPv4 addressing attribute is determined by the network interface. Now, IPv6 addresses for network interfaces. Here, we can associate an IPv6 CIDR block with your VPC and subnet and assign one or more IPv6 addresses for the subnet range to a network interface. All subnets have a modifiable attribute that determines whether network interfaces created in that subnet are automatically assigned an IPv6 address from the range of the subnet. When you launch an instance, the IPv6 address is assigned to the primary network interface that's created. Now, monitoring IP traffic. When we enable a VPC flow log on the network interface to capture information about the IP traffic going to and from a network interface. After you have created a flow log, you can view and retrieve its data in Amazon CloudWatch logs. An elastic network interface is a virtual network interface that you can attach to an instance in an Amazon virtual private cloud. ENIs are only available within an Amazon VPC and they are associated with a subnet upon creation. They can have one public IP address and multiple private IP addresses. If they are multiple private IP addresses, one of them is primary. Assigning a second network interface to an instance via an ENI allows it to be a dual home. That means have network presence in different subnets. An ENI created independently of a particular instance persists regardless of the lifetime of any instance to which it is attached. If an underlying instance fails, the IP address may be preserved by attaching the ENI to a replacement instance. ENI allows you to create a management network use network and security appliances in your Amazon VPC. Create dual homed instances with workloads or roles on distinct subnets, or create a low budget, high availability solutions. Important points about Elastic Network Interface: you can attach a network interface in one subnet to an instance in another subnet in same virtual private cloud. However, both the network interface and the instance must reside in the same availability zone where the data centers have been kept. You may require to bring up the second interface manually for the hot or warm attach of the additional network interface. So, it is advised to first configure the private IPv4 address and then modify the route table according to that. The procedure of attachment of another network interface to an existing instance. For example, a NIC teaming configuration cannot be used to increase the network bandwidth to or from the dual homed instance. If two or more network instance or interfaces from the same subnet are attached to an instance, here you may encounter networking issues such as asymmetric routing. It is recommended to use a secondary private IPv4 address on the primary network interface if possible. Thank you.